If someone keeps testing your silence, they already know words are their biggest threat. They are not confused about you. They are checking how much disrespect you will absorb. And if you have been doubting yourself, this is probably why everything feels so heavy. You were not imagining the pattern. You were standing inside it without a name. Toxic people rarely start with obvious attacks. First, they run quiet experiments on your boundaries. Small moments. A joke too sharp, a request too entitled, a silence meant to punish. They watch what you do next, more than they care about what happened. Because the first issue is never the real issue. Your response is. If you explain, shrink, laugh it off, or rescue the tension, they learn. They learn you can be crossed, cornered, and still trained to protect their comfort. That is what these silent tests are about. Not conflict, permission. And by the end, you will hear them faster and answer them cleaner. Because silence does not always mean peace. Sometimes it means your fear was managed. I know how sneaky this feels because toxic behavior rarely arrives wearing its real face. It comes disguised as concern, stress, closeness, honesty, family duty, or simple misunderstanding. And when you are decent, you keep giving meaning to what was designed as pressure. So let's name the first test, because this one gets excused more than anything. They disrespect you lightly first, then study whether you correct it immediately. Maybe it sounds like a joke, but somehow you are always the punchline. They are checking whether you will protect yourself or protect their image of themselves. Maybe your boss sends late messages, then acts surprised when you do not respond instantly. Maybe your mother says, "I guess I just can't say anything anymore." Maybe a friend leaks private information, then calls you sensitive for reacting. None of these are random. They are checking whether your discomfort gets a voice. If you smile to keep peace, they mark you as safe to repeat on. Your first weapon here is painfully simple. Name it early and stay boring. Early correction feels scary mostly because manipulative people train you to fear normal limits. You can say, "That was disrespectful," or "Don't talk to me like that." You do not need a courtroom speech. A clean sentence changes the whole room. And then do the part most people skip. Stop talking after that. Do not rescue their awkwardness. Let them feel the sound of their own behavior. Toxic people depend on your urge to smooth over what they just broke. Healthy people may not love correction, but they can survive being corrected. Toxic people act wounded because your correction threatens access, image, and control. That flare of anger is often grief over lost control, not pain caused by honesty. That difference matters because not every difficult person is toxic at all. Some people are clumsy, defensive, tired, or immature. They can still adjust. Toxic people treat basic respect like a loss they need to recover. The second silent test is pressure through repetition. They ask again after your answer. Not because they did not hear you, because they want to wear down certainty. You say no to babysitting. They ask tomorrow, then next week, then indirectly. You decline overtime. Your manager says, "Just this once," then keep saying that. You end a relationship. Your ex suddenly needs closure, clarity, friendship, and one conversation. They keep circling because they are searching for a version of you they can reopen. Repetition is not confusion. Repetition is erosion of your boundaries in real time. They are testing whether your answer belongs to you or only to the moment. The more you explain, the more openings you accidentally hand them back. Every reason becomes a door they can push on. Every detail becomes leverage. This is where a short phrase saves your nervous system from spiraling tonight. My answer is the same. That sentence does more work than 3 minutes of explaining. Or say, "I already answered that." Then stop. No defense, no debate, no apology. A repeated question is often a disguised demand. Treat it accordingly from now. When you stop providing fresh explanations, the pressure loses oxygen very quickly. The third silent test feels softer, which is why it slips past people. They fish for information, then punish you with what you shared later. It looks like interest. It sounds like closeness. It becomes ammunition eventually. They ask who you are dating, what you fear, what your boss said. They want your weak spots, your hopes, your unfinished grief, your doubts. Notice who gets warmer when you self-disclose and colder when you hold something back. Not to understand you better, to map you better for later control. Then one day, your private confession returns as a joke, accusation, or convenient concern. A fake friend says they worry you are unstable, using the pain you trusted. A partner repeats your deepest insecurity during an argument, then claims they were honest. That was never intimacy. That was surveillance with emotional access disguised as care. Your defense is selective privacy, not total shutdown around everyone anymore either. You do not owe full access to someone who has not earned safe handling. I keep that private. Or, I am not getting into that. Privacy is not punishment. Privacy is what safety looks like after betrayal taught you. Notice something important here. Boundaries are not secrets built from shame alone. Boundaries are filters. They decide who gets access, when, and at what depth. Control tells other people what they are allowed to feel or choose. A boundary tells you what you will do when mistreatment shows up. That nuance matters because toxic people love calling your limits controlling first. They say you are cold, difficult, dramatic, distant, selfish, rude, or impossible. Translation: your behavior no longer gives them easy access to your time, or your emotions, or your guilt, or your automatic compliance anymore either. People who respected you before a boundary usually respect you after one too. The fourth silent test is cold withdrawal after you set a limit. Suddenly they get distant, quiet, weirdly formal, or painfully hard to reach. This is where many people panic and betray their own boundary to reconnect. They text again, explain more, soften the limit, apologize, or chase reassurance. That reaction teaches the toxic person something dangerous. Punishment works on you. Silence can be healthy, or silence can be manipulation. Intent is everything. Healthy space creates calm, clarity, and accountability for both people involved afterward. Manipulative silence creates anxiety, confusion, and pressure for you to crawl back. If your stomach drops when they go quiet, that does not mean you were wrong. It is not distance for peace. It is distance as punishment instead. Your move here is not to chase. Your move is to hold still. Keep your tone flat. Keep your body unhurried. Do not rescue the silence. If they return, pretending nothing happened, address the pattern, not their mood. You can say, when you go cold after a limit, I do not continue. Or, if you need space, say that directly. I do not do punishment. You are not asking them to become mature in that moment either. You are showing them your nervous system no longer negotiates with emotional bait. The body wants immediate relief. Power wants long-term peace. Choose carefully. The fifth silent test is the dirtiest because it recruits your reputation. When private control stops working, some toxic people switch to image control. They hint that you changed. They call you difficult, unstable, ungrateful, or dramatic. They tell relatives you are distant. They tell coworkers you are hard to manage. They act heartbroken in public after disrespecting you in private first repeatedly. That backlash is not proof you were wrong. It is proof access changed. Notice how quickly they become the victim once they can no longer manage you privately. Smear campaigns usually begin when compliance ends and entitlement gets exposed publicly. They need a story where your boundary is cruelty because the truth exposes them. Your response here has to be strategic, not emotional or impulsively defensive. Do not send 10 messages trying to correct every lie in circulation. Speak clearly to the people who matter, once and with receipts if needed. Then let consistency defend you longer than panic ever could for you. People can doubt you words for a day. They struggle against patterns for long. A simple line works here too when someone tries to rewrite your character. I am not discussing gossip. If you have a direct issue, bring it to me. Or I am stepping back from conversations that misrepresent me going forward. The point is not to win every room. The point is to stop auditioning. Here is the part most people miss, and it changes everything afterward. These tests are not really about the topic on the surface itself. They are about whether you abandon yourself to preserve someone else's comfort. That is why the details keep changing, but the feeling stays identical. That repeating feeling is your clue. The pattern matters more than the costume. Different people. Same knot in your chest. Same urge to over-explain everything. Same pressure to prove you are good, reasonable, loyal, and not cruel. That is the trap. You are defending your character to people testing your compliance. And compliance is never enough for someone who feels entitled to more. Entitled people do not want understanding. They want unrestricted access wrapped in understanding language. So what actually breaks the pattern? Not a better explanation, not perfect wording. It is congruence. Your words, tone, pace, and follow-through all say the same thing. You say no once. You do not soften it with nervous laughter. You said nothing, work boundary. Then you stop replying after work hours. You tell a relative you will not discuss your relationship. Then you do not. You notice a baiting comment. You answer once, flatly, and change nothing else. Calm consistency is terrifying to people who survive on emotional reactions alone. They know how to fight drama. They do not know how to fight clarity. Clarity also reveals who will adapt without needing a performance from you. This does not mean every situation should be confronted immediately head-on today. Some situations need strategy, distance, documentation, or a quiet exit plan first. Especially with toxic family, controlling bosses, or anyone who punishes truth aggressively. Power is not always loud. Sometimes power is reduced access and better timing. Sometimes leading quietly protects you better than one final speech ever could. Sometimes the strongest sentence is, "I am not discussing this further today." Sometimes the strongest move is saying nothing after you already answered clearly. Sometimes the strongest protection is leaving the room before your body betrays you. Because once you see the test, you stop treating it like a conversation. You start treating it like information. Valuable, revealing, and strangely freeing instead. It tells you who respects language and who only respects consequences anyway. It tells you who can handle your honesty and who only wanted your silence. And once you know that, your guilt starts losing its authority over you. Guilt is loud when you first choose yourself. Then it starts sounding unfamiliar. You realize the fear was never about being mean. It was about being punished. Punished with tension, punished with withdrawal, punished with gossip, punished with guilt. But a life built around avoiding punishment is still a controlled life. You are allowed to become harder to manipulate, even if some people hate it. You are allowed to disappoint the version of you they were exploiting. You are allowed to stop translating your pain into language that protects them. The goal is not to become cold. The goal is to become clear. Clear about what happened. Clear about what it meant. Clear about your next move. The deeper truth is simple. Your silence was feeding systems that starved you. When someone tests your silence now, hear the real question underneath it. Will you protect their comfort, or will you protect your peace this time? Answer with fewer words, steadier breath, and one boundary you actually keep. That is when the test fails and the control starts cracking open. Every kept boundary teaches your mind that safety can come from you, not approval. If this hit home, tell me which test you keep seeing most. And if you needed this reminder, stay close and keep your voice. Your silence was never their right. Your peace was never theirs to manage.